All right, let's get cooking. Welcome to the latest edition of Chin Check Sports Radio. I'm your host, JD. I want to thank you all for taking the time out to join us. And as always, we welcome any suggestions, feedback, comments, and criticisms, which improves the quality of our program, which ultimately improves your listening experience. Definitely a sad day in professional sports. And what's even sadder, as I do this broadcast, more reports are coming out. We lost the legend that you see on your screen, Kobe Bryant, today in California, died in a helicopter crash. I was alerted to the news by a good buddy of mine who texted me, and I couldn't believe it. And when I checked my phone, obviously I went through the internet, and you had other small on Twitter. The word was starting to spread. Then when I turned on the television, that's when the news was confirmed on TV. And as the day wore on, and I did tweet my condolences to Kobe Bryant's family. As the day went on, then we find out that his oldest daughter was on the plane with him. And now reports are coming out that up to 9 people have not perished in the helicopter crash. So this is definitely a sad day. As you know, at Chin Check Radio, we're mainly a football program, a Dallas Cowboys program, as well as as well as a boxing program. So we really don't do basketball, but I do feel that to honor and to memorialize this legend who I watched since I was a freshman, sophomore in high school is when Kobe Bryant came to the NBA. So I watched his maturity. I watched him grow from a boy to a man to take his rightful place amongst the greatest of all times. But I still feel that, believe it or not, Kobe, his legacy, I don't feel was really appreciated when he was alive. And we're going to delve into the reasons why. But we definitely want to pay our tribute to the late Kobe Bryant. Now, Kobe Bryant was born August 23rd, 1978. He is the youngest child and the only son of former NBA player Joe Bryant. Now, Joe Bryant played in the NBA for the 76ers, the San Diego Clippers, and the Houston Rockets. Upon leaving the NBA, he played professional basketball in Italy, where Kobe spent a lot of his youth in Italy, and actually spoke fluent Italian. There was a commercial that Kobe did where he actually was talking in Italian in the commercial back in the early 2000s. Now, I'm not going to go through each season of Kobe's career because it will cover a lot of ground, but I do want to talk about a little bit of his accomplishments. Kobe was a five-time NBA champion from 2000 to 2002, three-peating with Shaquille O'Neal, and again winning in 2009 over the Orlando Magic, and 2010 over the Boston Celtics. He was a two-time Finals MVP in 2009 and 2010. He was a league MVP in 2008. He was an 18-time NBA All-Star. He was a four-time All-Star MVP in 2002, 2007, 2009, and 2011. He was an 11 times All-NBA First Team in 2002 through 2004, 2006 through 2013. He was All-NBA Second Team twice, 2000 and 2001. He was a 9-time an All-NBA Defensive First Team in 2000, 2003, 2004, and 2006 through 2011. Was a 3-time All-Defensive Team in 2001, Second Team, 2001, 2002, and 2012. A 2-time Scoring Champion in 2006 and 2007, and a Slam Dunk Award winner in 1997. Yes, folks, this is definitely a hard broadcast to do, considering to lose Kobe so young. And it even hurts because just yesterday he was on social media congratulating LeBron James on passing him for third time on the all-time scoring list. So just to know that Kobe was active on social media, was interacting with LeBron, was giving LeBron his props as well as LeBron was giving Kobe his props. And not even 24 hours later, we get the sad news that Kobe Bryant perished in a helicopter crash. And you can go to CNN and all the other news outlets and you can get the full details. Even as more details emerge, it definitely breaks your heart. I think a lot of America is heartbroken. Definitely, when I was handling some business today, even the representative of where I was doing business, even she kind of got emotional while we were doing business, and I totally understood. So it's definitely a sad day for people, a shocking day for people, considering who it was, the manner in which they perished, and knowing that a child perished with him. And I also want to give my deepest condolences not only to the Bryant family, but also to the families of those of the other passengers in the plane who perished, as well as the plane pilot. So, of course, NTSB is going to do their investigation, and that's fine. But just for here at Chin Check Radio, we definitely want to let all those families know, as well as the families of Kobe Bryant, being obviously he was the star and the celebrity on the plane, but we don't want to lose sight of the fact that there were other people now who have to live lives without their loved ones. So to all the passengers on the plane, you have our deepest condolences, even the pilot, to his family. You have our deepest condolences at Chin Check Radio. And I did mention earlier that I never felt Kobe, as great of a player as he was, and all his accomplishments and awards that I just read to you, I've always stated that I never felt Kobe was given his just due. I think by fans, and to a certain extent, I think even the mainstream media, and this is to be no knock, but we call things as we see it. Now, again, Kobe came into the league in 1996, was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets, was eventually traded to the Lakers because obviously Jerry West, who is the NBA logo, discovered Kobe Bryant and saw his talents while playing ball in a high school in Pennsylvania. Now, the reason why I say Kobe's legacy tends to get, I guess, a little bit overlooked is because when Kobe first got into the NBA, that's right in the heart of the Chicago Bulls run. So we're talking that Bulls team that was the equivalent of a Beatles team, where there is, I believe, a documentary coming about the Bulls this year. So you have to understand, this is really after Michael Jordan came back, after winning those 72 games. So the Bulls were that team. You had Michael, you had Scottie, you had Phil Jackson, you had Dennis Rodman, who was a star in his own right, off on his own. So Shaquille O'Neal was a big star with the Orlando Magic. So if you figure you had a big star in the Bulls, Shaq was your next biggest star, not even counting Barkley, who was a little bit older at the time. Shaq was your other biggest star. Now, when Shaq goes to the Lakers, leaving the Orlando Magic behind, which is kind of rough for my childhood, because I think a lot of us were actually young Magic fans. So when Shaq goes to the Lakers, they bring in Kobe Bryant. So again, Kobe Bryant's first years in the league was in the shadow of the greatness of Michael Jordan and those Bulls teams who won 3 straight championships. Now, after Michael Jordan retires in 1998, now again, Kobe Bryant won the slam dunk competition in 97. Yeah, that's great, but the Bulls were still that team. Everything was about the Bulls and everything was about Michael. And again, you still had Shaq on his own team, who was a big star in his own right. So after Michael Jordan retires, clearly the NBA was lacking for star power. The NBA was trying to find, create, and market a star that can appeal to the people. And a lot of what the NBA is really, it appeals to the streets and to the urban areas as well as the inner city. Now, Michael was really that first athlete, say Bird and Magic, but Michael was really that first global star where Michael was able to transcend, or his popularity went past the ghetto and he was able to go into the corporate world. Because again, to this day, Michael still has those sponsors with Hanes and Railback and McDonald's and Gatorade. And obviously the whole Be Like Mike song. So Michael was that star. So the NBA, when Michael Jordan retired and they broke up the Bulls, now you're looking at, well, who else do we have? And I think for a couple of years, the NBA, their ratings went down after Michael Jordan retired from the NBA the first time. During this time is now the rise of Kobe Bryant. Now, as Kobe Bryant started to establish himself as one of the best shooting guards in the league, thank heavens for the arrival of one Phil Jackson, there was still other stars in the league that I think that fans gravitated to even more so than Kobe Bryant. Now, you have some stars, let's say a Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan was a number one pick, wins a title with the Spurs in the NBA in the shortened lockout season in 1999, giving Dave Robinson his only title. So you have a star in Tim Duncan. Vince Carter. Vince Carter was with the Toronto Raptors, was seen as a high-flying dunker, wins a slam dunk competition in 2000, and that was another star that the NBA was trying to market or push on to the people that he was an exciting player. And I remember at the time when I was in college, Vince Carter came to play, and I remember a lot of people in the dorms and a lot of other students wanted to see Vince Carter play because he was that guy, even though he's still in the league now, and I believe he is the only player to play professional basketball in four different decades. So thank goodness for the longevity of Vince Carter, and God bless Vince Carter. But at that time, people forget, in the early 2000s, Vince Carter was a huge star in the NBA, and he was, quote, accepted by the streets. Like I said before, a lot of your NBA stars, they're accepted by the streets. They're kind of accepted by the inner city. They are accepted by the black community. So you had guys like Vince Carter. His cousin Tracy McGrady played alongside him in Toronto before McGrady wanted to do his own thing. But Tracy McGrady's jerseys was selling like hotcakes. He was a popular player that was accepted by the streets. You had Jason Kidd. Who turned around the moribund New Jersey Nets. Now you know them as the Brooklyn Nets, where he turned them around and made them instant contenders when they went to the NBA Finals twice. You had Kevin Garnett, who was the first star before Kobe Bryant to, well, at least in that era, in the 90s, the first really big star to go from high school straight to the NBA. So you still had Kevin Garnett, was still loved by the streets. And you still had Shaquille O'Neal. Again, Shaquille O'Neal was a big star with Reebok and movies. So Shaq was a superstar by himself. And again, he had the respect of the streets, because I know where Shaq is from in New Jersey. Where I'm from in New Jersey, Shaq was loved back in New Jersey. And the last star that you all can think of is one Allen Iverson. Now, Allen Iverson was that guy. Allen Iverson with the tattoos and the cornrows and the street dress and the hip hop wear and the chain. He really had Black America and black culture in the palm of his hand. He really had it. The streets loved Allen Iverson. He was in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a blue collar, lunch pail city. And people loved that Allen Iverson was such a shorter guy, a smaller guy. He gave his all. He tended to have no regard for his body. He had a beautiful crossover. Him crossing over Michael Jordan made him an even bigger star. So Kobe, I always felt during that time, was kind of seen as, he wasn't really pushed out there. Now, even though the Lakers were winning championships, even though Kobe was in all-star games and clearly was one of the best players in the league, there was a hard respect for Kobe. I think a lot of people really didn't like Kobe. A lot of people felt that he was trying to emulate Michael Jordan a little bit too much, because, again, Jordan was fresh off the brand. Oh, and by the way, Michael Jordan did come back to the Wizards back in 2001. So, again, you have all these stars that I just mentioned, and you have the return of one Michael Jordan. So, and of course, Michael was an older player, but you still have that star power where Kobe's star power just started to emerge. So there is this, how is Kobe viewed by, quote, the inner city? How is Kobe viewed by black folks? Because let's face it, Kobe Bryant grew up, when we think of struggle, and I'm talking about the black community, that we look at guys who come from a hard scrabble background, guys who had to fight, scratch, and claw to, to get what they want, or we like somebody who came from a major program, versus Kobe grew up in Italy, was a son of an NBA player. So you would think of an NBA player at least middle to to upper class upbringing versus somebody who was a Kevin Garnett who had a fight, scratch, and claw in Chicago. Allen Iverson, we know where he came from. Shaq coming from Newark and traveling around as an Army brat. Tracy McGrady also coming from high school. Tim Duncan, the story is the water came and it knocked all the water out of his pool, and that's how he ended up getting into basketball because Tim Duncan was a swimmer, and Vince Carter going to North Carolina. So there was always a struggle that people love the struggle of some of these NBA players. Well, Kobe didn't have that, being the son of an NBA player and living a middle to upper class background. So some people kind of resented that, and I feel because of that and his trying to be like Michael Jordan is kind of what turned a lot of people off to Kobe as a pro basketball player. And I do think Kobe, a lot of his game was like Michael Jordan, from how they shot the basketball to wearing the wristband on the forearm to how they shoot to everything. So I think Kobe is the closest thing, at least in my life so far, to Michael Jordan. Now, if Kobe's not accepted at this time, now we're talking about the early 2000s. So we're talking really 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, and 2003. So you have this time where, again, you have these players who I just mentioned that was more accepted by the streets, even though Kobe was winning titles and even though he was getting the commercials, but wasn't really accepted and people didn't think he was that good because, again, you had Phil Jackson and you had Shaq, who won those finals MVPs. Even though Kobe hit a lot of big shots, but Shaq was given the MVPs, and rightfully so. We're not taking anything away from Shaq. Now, in 2003, saw the arrival of another megastar, one LeBron James. So now you shifted from Michael Jordan to where the league was trying to find a star. I just reel off a bunch of names. And then in 2003 is now when the NBA has their now big star, and that's one LeBron James in Cleveland, Ohio. And of course, so now you have the rise of LeBron James. So now all eyes have gone to LeBron. Now at this time, Kobe had his situation in Colorado. At the same time, him and the Lakers broke up. Shaq gets traded to Miami. They end up winning a title in Miami. At this time, Kobe is now the leader of the Lakers. They're losing first and second round matchups to the Phoenix Suns. I don't know if you guys remember those Phoenix Suns teams with Kevin Nash winning 2 straight MVPs. I'm sorry, Steve Nash. I'm sorry, not Kevin Nash. Steve Nash winning 2 straight MVPs. Having Amari Stoudemire, Shawn Marion, The Matrix. So clearly, Kobe's greatness in terms of the fans of being accepted by the fans, again, his time was sandwiched between the era of Michael Jordan and the beginning of the LeBron James era. So, as time goes on, Kobe gets his team back to the finals. They play the Boston Celtics, get smacked around in 6 games, especially that last game was a blowout in Boston, also blowing, I believe, a 20-something point lead. I'm going to say in Game 5 or something like that. Yeah, the 2007 Celtics, which is the first year they had Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and the aforementioned Kevin Garnett. So they play the Celtics. They lose to the Celtics. Eventually they get guys, and I'm talking about the Lakers, they get Metta World Peace, formerly known as Ron Artest, as well as Pau Gasol, and end up winning 2 more titles. So again, it was always that, in the case of Kobe, can he catch up with Michael Jordan winning 6 championships? Kobe won 5, Michael won 6. Now, what I find funny is people always wanted to hold Kobe's 5 titles against him to say, well, he won 5 and Michael won 6. Well, if that's the same logic, Michael won 6 rings and Bill Russell won 11, but Michael is generally regarded as the better player and the best player really of all time. So you can't knock one player for not having as many championships as one to make a comparison, but then you overlook the fact that Michael has less rings than Bill Russell, but Michael is seen as the better player. So a little bit hypocrisy from the mainstream sports media as well as some sports fans. So Kobe's era, again, was sandwiched between the end of Michael Jordan, people trying to get over the legend and the ghost of Michael Jordan, as well as Michael Jordan returned to play basketball, other stars, other players that were accepted by the streets per se, the incident in Colorado, and now the breakup of the Lakers, obviously Dwayne Wade, so we can throw even D Wade in there again. Now we're talking about the rise of D Wade because his stardust grew when Shaq went to the Lakers and the Heat won the title in 2006. So now, then you have the Celtics with Paul Pierce and all those guys, and then you have the rise of LeBron James as well as the Lakers. So Kobe's era, his name again is kind of forgotten and sandwiched, and I think even now, well, I take it back, even when he was alive, and hell, I'll even say now, if you ask people, name their top 10 greatest players of all time, it's usually at the bottom of that list because usually we hear names like Michael, Magic, Kareem, Wilt, Bird, Oscar Robertson, Tim Duncan. They will throw LeBron in there, and then maybe you'll get a Kobe Bryant. Some people throw a Hakeem Olajuwon in there. So to me, I think despite all of Kobe's accomplishments, I think he's still underrated as an all-time great. I think he's still underrated or was underrated as an all-time great. I enjoyed watching the man play. Of course, with the Lakers, you wanted to see the Lakers lose, but talent respects talent, and this guy was a truth. I mean, this guy played against some pretty good players that people forget too. The Vince Carters of the world, the Latrell Sprewells of the world. Google a famous spin-around baseline dunk on Sprewell in New York City, okay, to see exactly what I'm talking about. Playing against those great Sacramento teams, those Portland Trailblazer teams out of the West, those San Antonio Spurs teams. So clearly he played great competition and had great opposition on the way to those NBA Finals. So I definitely wanted to talk about the legacy of Kobe Bryant. This is our tribute to Kobe Bryant. I'm trying not to get choked up here. And I just want to say again to Kobe, man, we love you. May you rest in peace and you'll never be forgotten. To his family, I just want to say that you all have my deepest condolences, as well as to the families of all the passengers on board. The pilot, I mean, this is so hard, and we wish you all rest in peace, and I'm going to pray that we can only begin a slow process of trying to heal. But Kobe, brother, the Black Mamba, and that's what you were, the Black Mamba. He definitely had that killer instinct. He definitely had an insatiable appetite to be the best. Clearly, he wanted to be the best. He pushed his teammates. What people criticize Kobe for pushing his teammate, because you see all the famous videos of him cussing his teammates out. People said Kobe was a bad teammate, and of course he had an issue with teammates when he was a young guy on the team, the Eddie Jones of the world. They didn't like him, and even as he got older and became the leader of the team, they said he pushed his teammates, and yet that was seen as a bad thing. But Michael pushing his teammates was seen as it was seen as a good thing. Now, this is no knock on Michael, but this is just how the mainstream media will criticize on one hand, but then I think they'll give a pass on the other end. So I think Kobe Bryant is one of the best basketball players who's ever lived. To me, he is the second coming of Michael Jordan and the closest thing to Michael Jordan in my lifetime, based on play, based on shots, based on everything with it. And he is going to get his just due from Chin Check Radio. So again, we want to say, Kobe Bryant, brother, may you rest in peace. This is Chin Check Radio signing off.